The midday sun glared mercilessly over the dry forest, pouring heat like molten glass over every leaf, every stone, every trembling blade of grass. Cicadas droned in the distance, their sound weaving into the hot stillness like a restless whisper. Dust hung in the air, stirred only by the occasional breath of wind that barely reached the forest floor. It was the kind of day when even shadows seemed to shrink, retreating under rocks and roots to escape the sun's weight. The forest was hushed, but not peaceful. There was a tension, an unseen thread drawn taut, vibrating faintly in the silence. On the edge of a narrow trail that wound between stands of acacia trees, a movement caught the sunlight, a flash of spotted gold. A baby leopard, no more than a few months old, crouched low in the brittle grass. Its eyes were wide, round pools of liquid amber, fringed by lashes that trembled with uncertainty. It should have been following its mother, shadowing her in the art of silent steps and patient stalking. But the mother was nowhere in sight. The cub's small ribs rose and fell too quickly, and its whiskers twitched at every shifting shadow. The cub had been drawn here by scent, the faint honeyed perfume of something sweet. A hollow in a gnarled tree trunk just ahead shimmered with motion. Inside, thousands of bees worked in a golden darkness, their wings beating in a soft, endless hum. The leopard cub did not know the danger of this sound. To him, it was curiosity wrapped in sunlight. He padded forward on oversized paws, ears pricked forward, nose twitching. In the village a short distance away, 12-year-old Anaya was walking back from the river with a clay pot of water balanced carefully on her head. Her bare feet knew every curve of the path, every root that jutted up like a warning finger. She moved quickly. Her mother was waiting to prepare the afternoon meal, but halfway along the trail, she froze. Her sharp ears caught a sound, a high, frantic yowling. It was not the deep growl of an adult leopard, but something smaller, more desperate. The sound stabbed into her chest, and she turned her head toward the forest edge. Her grandmother often told stories of the wild animals that lived beyond the fields. Some dangerous, some shy, some as much a part of the land as the wind itself. Leopards, she had said, were clever, secretive creatures, beautiful but fierce. A person must give them respect and space. But what Anaya heard now was not fierceness. It was fear. She set the water pot gently down beside the path, her heart thudding in her ears. She hesitated only a moment before stepping off the trail, pushing through the tall grass that clutched at her legs. The cry came again, clearer now, punctured by another sound, a strange low roar, like hundreds of tiny wings cutting through the air all at once. Bees. She saw them before she saw the leopard cub, a dark, swirling cloud boiling out of the tree hollow. The air seemed to shimmer with them, the sound rising in pitch until it was a shrill, vibrating wall. And there, caught too close, the baby leopard flailed. It had pawed at the honeycomb, breaking the wax and spilling the bees' treasure. Now the colony was in full defense, stinging wherever they could find skin. The cub spun, trying to bat them away, but its baby fur gave little protection. Tiny welts were already rising along its face and ears, and its cries were growing weaker. Anaya's breath caught. Every instinct told her to back away. Bees did not care who their enemy was. Anything near the hive was a threat, but as she watched the cub stumble, its legs shaking, something fierce and protective rose inside her. It was just a baby, and if she did nothing, it would die here in the dust. She yanked her scarf from around her shoulders and wrapped it around her head and face, leaving only her eyes exposed. She remembered her grandmother's advice from honey-gathering days. Move fast but steady, and do not sweat wildly. It only angers them more. Heart hammering, she grabbed a branch in the ground and waved it in broad, sweeping arcs, trying to push the bees back. The cloud shifted toward her, angry and hot in the air, but she held her ground, teeth clenched against the first sharp sting that burned into her arm. The cub saw her now, its eyes wide, body low to the ground. Another sting hit her cheek, then her wrist, but Anaya pushed forward. She reached the cub in 3 strides, dropped to her knees, and with one quick motion, scooped it into her arms. It was surprisingly light, its muscles taut and trembling. She could feel its heartbeat slamming against her ribs, quick as a bird's. The bees surged closer, Furious at the theft of their target, Anaya turned and ran. Her bare feet pounded the dusty ground, her scarf flapping against her skin. She zigzagged through grass, knowing the bees would follow for a distance before giving up. They clung to her clothes, stinging wherever they found gaps. She bit back a cry, focusing on the weight in her arms. The cub buried its face into her scarf, its claws pricking her skin in terror, but it did not struggle. It was too exhausted, too weak. She stumbled once, nearly falling, but pushed on until the hum behind her began to thin. The swarm was breaking, retreating to guard their hive. Anaya slowed only when she reached a low cluster of rocks by the riverbank. She dropped to her knees, panting, and set the cub gently on the ground. It blinked at her, sides heaving, each breath a small gasp. Its ears were swollen, its fur dotted with the tiny red marks of stings. Anaya dipped her scarf in the river and began to dab cool water along its face and paws. "You're all right now," she whispered, not knowing if the cub could understand the sound of her voice, but hoping it could feel the calm in it. The cub's eyes stayed fixed on her, as though memorizing the shape of the strange creature who had pulled it from the storm of wings. Minutes passed. The water soothed the worst of the sting, and the cub's breathing began to slow. But Anaya knew she could not keep it. Somewhere in the forest, its mother would be searching, and if the mother found her holding it, the danger would be far greater than any swarm of bees. She stood slowly, scanning the tree line. The forest was still again, but she could feel the unseen eyes within it. The cub gave a faint chirp, a sound so small it barely seemed to belong to a leopard. From deep among the shadows, a reply came, a low, rolling growl, not of anger but of claim. Anaya stepped back. The cub turned toward the sound, ears pricking despite their swelling. From between the trees, the mother leopard emerged, her coat dappled with gold and shadow, her muscles flowing under the skin like water over stone. Her eyes locked on Anaya, steady, unreadable. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Anaya nudged the cub forward with the edge of her foot. It limped toward its mother, who stepped forward to meet it, lowering her head to sniff it all over. The cub pressed against her chest, and she gave a low, chuffing sound, licking its face where the stings had landed. Anaya stayed still, her hands trembling now that the danger had passed. The mother leopard's gaze flicked back to her once more, lingering for a moment. There was no snarl, no leap, only that steady golden stare, and then she turned, guiding her cub back into the shadows. In seconds, they were gone, as if the forest had swallowed them whole.